So now we're at the point, we took our notes, our mind dump, where we just had a bunch of notes on a piece of paper or a pad, and we created those groups of notes, we circled them into groups, and we made a sticky note for each one of those groups of notes. So we put a sticky note for each group of notes, which is going to represent a draft chapter. Okay, then we took the sticky notes, and some of them we decided, well, this sticky note's got too much stuff on it, so I'm going to split that into two different chapters. Or these two sticky notes, they could really go together and be one chapter. So that's why we're using the board, making it easy to move it around. So once we've got all our sticky notes, we're going to make sure the flow is correct. You move them around until you've got the right order. So you can sit and think about this for a while and say, okay, I think that this group of notes should come earlier in the book. I think this thing should come up front. And that's how we move them around. Since I did this, I found some bigger sticky notes. So I do actually recommend that you find yourself some notes that are a little bit bigger. The first ones I used, they were not really big enough to put enough information on. So something a little bit bigger will probably be better. And I just have a piece of white cardboard here that I'm sticking them on. But I like this. You can use index cards, but I like this because you can move them around and stick them, and you can just, reorder them. When you're happy with the order, you're going to go ahead and write numbers on them. So these are going to be my draft chapter number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, etc. So now I've got kind of my draft of what my chapter is going to be. I've got notes here of what's inside that chapter, and I've got my layout. Of course you can change it later, but this is pretty much set my layout now. I like this. Okay, so at this point we're going to take each one of these sticky notes, and for each note we're going to create a Word document. So each one of these notes represents a chapter. We're now going to take that to a Word doc or a Google Doc, and we're now going to create that electronically and start our chapter. Now if you're going to be recording Google Docs, you can actually do recording on there. You may be doing another program like Dragon Naturally is a recording program. You may have a publishing program, so that might not apply to you. But anyway, you're going to take these and you're going to put them in electronically in a file. And the way I like to do it is I take each one of these, I make a Word doc from it. I'm going to take these notes I've got on here, and I'm going to put those notes on my Word doc. And I'm going to do a different document for each one of these notes. And so in order that it comes up in alphabetical order in your folder, I make a folder for this particular book, and then I put all my Word documents in there. So I give a single Word document for each one of these, and I'll label it like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, so it will come up in the same order. Now there are going to be a few other extra bits and pieces, like at the beginning you're going to have perhaps a foreword, your copyright information, your table of contents. At the end you're going to have some bits and pieces like your author's page and some other things. And so when I make a Word document for those, I also make a single Word document for those. We're going to do those later, but when I label those, I'll label those A1, A2, A3, and I'll label the ones that are going to be at the end Z, Z1, Z2, Z3. That way, when you're looking in your alphabetical order on your documents in your file folder, they'll come up in the correct order. That makes that easier. So you create your document for each one of the sticky notes. It will transfer your notes. Again, they're just going to be in note format, but you're going to now have them typed up on your computer. And you're also going to decide if you want a format for your chapter. Some people like to have a format if it's going to be especially a how-to book, and by format I mean maybe every chapter is going to have a summary at the end of the chapter. Maybe every chapter is going to have a quote from another famous quote that you found. So this is where you're going to also decide what are the bullet points you're going to talk about in your chapter, and then if there's going to be any kind of formatting thing where you've got to find some information. Okay, so now we should have a Word document for each one of these. So we should have a Word document for each of our draft chapters.